So this was the week where the Amazon Corporation, yes, you've heard of it, decided to press pause on its construction of HQ2 in Northern Virginia. Yes, Raph is cheering with his hands. Here we are. Amazon
I wish I
paused
had a
construction
Modelo.
at HQ2. Exactly. Need a fucking 24-pack of Modelo in this case. And so Virginia's bid for HQ2, you guys remember the bidding wars. Raph will explain what that looked like in New York. Came with promises to invest in regional workforce, particularly a graduate campus of Virginia Tech that is under construction just a couple of miles from Amazon's under construction campus in Crystal City. There were a lot of things that Amazon was going to get for choosing Northern Virginia. The incentives were the state promised $22,000 for each new Amazon job on the condition that the average worker salary for those jobs was $150K annually, which is like, why not just make it $172,000 and or less or whatever it is. Those incentives were about $550 million for the 25,000 projected jobs. So not nothing. Arlington County also promised Amazon a cut of its hotel tax revenue. Ridiculous. On the theory that hotel occupancies would increase significantly once Amazon builds out its campus. That incentive projected initially at about 23 million is dependent on how many square feet of office Amazon space occupies in the county. So this is the spokeswoman for Virginia Economic Development Partnership, which I assume works with the state. But said state officials are not concerned about this, though. There are 8,000 workers now employed at the headquarters, and they're running about 3,000 ahead of what was expected. So nothing to see here. She said there's no incentive that's been paid out to Amazon. The company's scheduled to submit its first application for payment on April 1st. Just like write a little invoice. Anyway, we created a lot of jobs, and I'd like my money. Amazon would then receive its first grant payment on or after July 1st, 2026. So there's a little spin, and we have a different spin to give on it. But there are also layoffs at Amazon, and not necessarily on the warehouse level. In fact, there's difficulty in hiring, I believe, at the warehouse level. But throughout the corporation, there have been massive layoffs. What I read was that during the pandemic, there was sort of this overshooting over this presumption that much more money was going to be made than is made, which is still billions every minute. But Raph, what's your take on why they press pause on this?
Yeah. So you mentioned you had a deal with like a promotion deal with American Prospect. They're actually, people should do that Patreon with you, because one of the best writers about Amazon and analysts about it is an American Prospect writer, Dayan.
Mm-hmm.
And he early on exposed that really that whole contest Amazon started, where all these cities do this like Hunger Games of like, pick me, pick me. That was really just like a data collection scam where we as like activists and city workers and researchers have been trying to get city data for years so that we could design programs, budgeting, campaigns, and we can't. They handed this data to Amazon. All of these cities around the country just handed all of their economic data, development data, infrastructure stuff, like everything.
Yeah.
And so this was all like a big scheme, and they had already decided where they're going to go.
To your point, don't you think I didn't clip that up from David Dayan from the American Prospect? Here was his take on it. As Raph is saying, interestingly, the phase that has not been filled out of the HQ2 is the public green space, commercial restaurant, retail outlets, basically all the community and broader economic benefits that a city would expect in return of a truckload of subsidies would be pushed off. So that's important to note what they're not going to build. But to Raph's point, Dayan writes, but Amazon got something much bigger. It got proprietary information from cities in virtually every corner of the United States, information about public property, access to infrastructure, makeup of the workforce, a treasure trove of documents for a company that wants to put a facility somewhere. It also got a specific bid for how much that city would be willing to give to Amazon in economic development subsidies. They got all the city planning data on the future construction of America for free, as well as bidding information that offered insight as to who might pony up fat subsidies. That was always the goal of the HQ2 project, where corporate office executives would live and work, was completely secondary. The pausing of Arlington project helps reinforce that. So to that point, Raf, are you saying that as an activist, like, organizations want that information, and that, like, working with Athena or, Working Families Party, is that not readily available?
No, you have to scour and get through all these antiquated systems and pay money and hire lawyers and things to do all those things. The city's just handed it to Amazon, and really, it's good for us to actually depict what Amazon really is. Amazon is really a surveillance company. It's really monetizes and makes its money from its, like, putting its tentacles throughout every system in our government and civic life, and becoming indispensable and drawing from that data that they can profit off of. And also, what they learned from all of those bids was which towns they can move into, which towns have city councils who are kind of like are willing to do deals in secret, for example, and shut out the local community, because the local community is going to be like, how about building us a school? What are you going to do about pollution? What are you going to do about the taxes? What are you going to do about job quality? And instead, they lock them out. So we at Athena Coalition, we actually started from the group that won, that beat off Amazon from Queens, HQ2, the same facility.
Yes. So folks don't know, HQ2 was going to be in Long Island City. And then, dun, 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 Raf entered the picture.
And then a small group of folks started a thing that became a popular movement in New York City against it. AOC came in, all of the worker groups, community groups came in, and there was this beautiful, beautiful coalition. Oftentimes, even a coalition that was so broad that you wouldn't see them together prior to it.
Nice.
So that kind of created a model for Athena Coalition, which is a national thing where I'm at, and it's over 50 organizations, grassroots, all of them. And we combine our forces with workers, with communities, with immigrants, climate fighters, Palestinians, everywhere where Amazon has targeted, we find allies and we build our coalition. And recently, like, one thing Consumer Reports found, which Consumer Reports, when I grew up with Consumer Reports, it was like, don't get this dryer, don't get this toaster, get this. This Consumer Reports is fucking bad. It's so badass, because they did research and they found out that Amazon has been targeting its warehouses across the country to Black and brown communities, where they can they feel like they can have, like, into disinvested communities, they'll have more leverage to have deals in secret, to pay people off, to pay, donate, and to really go around the communities and build. In some of these maps, they found they were building a warehouse across the street from the school, knowing that it's going to be like thousands of trucks every day with their fumes. So one of those places, for example, was our coalition member Make the Road in New Jersey, who Amazon tried to use this information and all of these connections they have to open up an air hub. They don't have many air hubs around the country, not that many. And they're very vital. They're the ones that replenish all of the warehouses around the country. So Newark, they're going to take over a part of the Newark airport and have their own planes and their own things there. And they did it in secret. And the coalition came together. Little kids came outside and they started counting trucks. They made it into science projects. How much pollution it's going to mean, like this. Little old ladies, everyone came out and defeated it. And it just became like a long string of defeats for Amazon, now culminating in this HQ2 embarrassment, which we actually call in the movement HQ poo, because it's in the shape of the poop emoji. The architecture for the facility
just looks like a massive duke.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
HQ poo, yeah.
HQ poo. And so the idea, like, it kind of exposes more broadly that these, like, the bidding wars and all that bullshit where, like, you have cities groveling, please, I'll give you this subsidy. Like, you can pave a road. We'll pave a road for you out of our poor people, like all that stuff. Like, that actually it's all bullshit, and they're not in the business of revitalizing. They're in the business of leeching off of already communities that have been divested from, and offering them non-union middling wages jobs that are dangerous, where people drop dead and then they just sort of go on with their day.
In New Jersey, and now it was the injuries that hit the headlines. The first thing that hit the headlines was the pee in the bottles. Everyone wanted to talk about the pee in the bottles.
Yes.
That was like a
Great
symbol
headline.
of something even worse, and that was just the injuries. So they have twice the injuries of other warehouses around the country. In some cities, 5-6 times the injuries. And now what's happening is deaths, where people are dying, and then they cover the body with boxes so that people can continue to work, and they don't tell his or her colleagues that there's a dead body next to you.
Yep.
Because they don't want that report, they don't want that press, they don't want that iPhone video. They just want to continue like this machine. And behind that is this surveillance mechanism. Behind that is quotas and things that just really literally work people until they break.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do it.